Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Rogers. We're here at Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We got one of our last beautiful sunny days before the weather starts cooling down for the winter. Today we're going to be doing a Winnebago Revel 44EC. So it's going to be the new floor plan that they just came out with. So they do have a Revel Sport 44C that they've been making for about a year now, but they came out with the EC to give that same floor plan in the normal Revel. So that'll give you that increased water capacities, the increased battery capacities, as well as a little bit of unique features that they brought into the Revel once they revamped it. So today we're going to start in the front of this unit. So the Winnebago Revel is going to have an all-wheel drive chassis. So you have the new Mercedes chassis. It's a 2-liter twin turbo. You'll have it mated to a 9-speed transmission. It's all-wheel drive instead of the 4x4, so it'll give you a little bit more ground clearance. And it'll drive more like a car, whereas you used to get a lot of turbo lag from that initial takeoff with that V6 motor that they used to make. With the newer chassis, you'll have a couple features on the inside that we'll cover towards the end of this video. But starting in the front of this, you'll have the upgraded Mercedes lights in this, the upgraded windshield wipers. You're gonna have the upgraded camera on the inside. You're also going to have all of your safety features on here. So the camera down below is going to be for your adaptive cruise control as well as your active braking assist, just to give you a little bit more peace of mind when you're driving this vehicle. Towards the top of this van, you're going to have two floodlights at the top. You're going to have a custom roof rack that Winnebago made, as well as a few marker lights up high. On that roof rack, you're going to have a side-mounted awning with the LED strip built into the end of it. You'll have a solar panel tied in up there, a max air fan built into the roof, as well as a rooftop air conditioner. So a lot of features up there. The solar panel that's up there is going to be 210 watts. It's about, you may be able to fit just a smidge more on top of that van, but that's going to be about the total capacity you can have because of the short length of the Winnebago Revel. So starting on the sides now, you'll have the aluminum wheels on here. So they're going to be Winnebago Revel custom wheels. They are alloy wheels. They're wrapped in BF Goodrich KO2 tires. So a little bit more aggressive a tire for your off-road adventures. In the mirror, you're going to see one of your cameras. So with this being a true Class B and a van chassis instead of a conversion like you have with our Winnebago Echos, they're able to take advantage of the 360 camera system that Mercedes offers from the factory. In the passenger door in here, you'll get to see a few of the seat controls that you have on the Mercedes. So the Revel's going to use manual seats. You're still going to have electric lumbar, manual for reclining the seats, adjusting the height of the seat with the lever, as well as adjusting the pitch of the seat with the front, and you'll have a thigh extension up here on the very front of the seat. On the door itself, you're going to have seat heaters for both the driver and passenger. You'll have a little bit of wood accents in specific places because this does have the interior upgrade option. And then you'll also have your electric locks. Down below, you're going to have the side steps getting in. On the passenger side, you'll have a full-length one, just so it makes it easier to get in the passenger door as well as the side door. On your driver's side, you're going to have a small one. So right now I have this door open. So with the door open, you're going to have a little outdoor tray that you can use to prep on. You'll have an adjustable strap here. It is magnetic, so you can just keep it up like that. You'll also have access to your freshwater drains as well as the low point drains, all in one spot. As far as power outside, you're going to have an outlet right here. So if you want to bring out that induction cooktop and set it on that outside spot, you can do that. The Revel is meant to be more of an off-road adventure vehicle, so you have a lot of outdoor capabilities with this. So in the side and the rear of this unit, you'll have these roll left screen doors. So you'll have the bug screens that come down. Once it's zipped down, it is held together with magnets, so that way you can just walk in and out without having to zip and unzip it, just for easier access inside and out. So in the window itself, or in the door itself, you're gonna have a window. This is an opening window. On the inside, with that interior upgrade, you'll also have an extra insulated mat that goes over that window just to give you a little bit more insulation in that hotter or colder climates. We'll demo it on the rear door just because it'll be easier to see back there. So we do have the manual doors on these, just a little less problematic, but easier to repair if you ever have any issues with that. On the rear of the van, you're gonna have a custom rear ladder. So it's built into the door so you can get up top if you need to access anything up there. You'll have your 2 camera systems in that black piece up there. So you do have a rear backup camera whenever you're in reverse, or if you're traveling at low speeds, you can turn that one on. But that upper camera is gonna be for the digital rear view mirror. So that will always be on, and it's about 1 car length out as far as your visibility. So if someone's riding your ass or your butt real close right here, you're not gonna be able to see them. You'd have to be able to use that low camera. In the rear of this unit is where you'll have like the gear hauler aspect of the Revel. So right now I have the bed down just so we can demo it when we get on the inside. So you'll have 2 cushions, 1 on each side, and you'll also have the bed lift. So the bed can support 500 pounds at any position. So if you need to have the bed raised up a little bit and just take a quick nap, or you have larger items down below, you can do that and just lay across the bed without having the full length of it. You'll have cutouts on each side of the bed just for that increased sleeping length. So if you're the taller people, I think up to like 6'4" can fit in here relatively easily and still have a little bit of room to spare. Down below, you're gonna have the mats and your cargo space essentially. So you'll have the ram track system down here. They give you the little pit clips so you can strap stuff down. So one of the differences between the Revel and the Revel Sport is the Revel, this space is a little bit more narrow, and they have that because there's a little bit more water capacity as well as larger battery capacities in these. So they have to cut into that storage space just a little bit, but it gives you a lot more off-grid potential. This mat right here is going to be a cargo mat that's designed for the floor that you get from Winnebago. This cubby here is going to be all the accessories that they send you with. You do have an outdoor shower, a small freshwater hose in there, as well as a 30 amp smart plug. So with the smart plug, you'll have 2 clips on the sides right there. So when you plug it in, it's less likely that it'll come out, and it just makes it easier for disconnecting and reconnecting compared to those twist locks that they used to use. On the rear right here, you're gonna have access to a water pump, switch, your hot and cold outdoor shower, so it's all the way back here. As well as easy access to your winterized valves. If you need to get into the mechanical components of this, you do have thumb screws that'll let you get underneath this. These little black pieces screw off, and then you get easy access to all the components behind this. So all of your water systems will be on this right side, the passenger side, and then your battery systems are all gonna be on the left side. So underneath here, you can see you have a lot of ventilation. You'll have dual lithium batteries in here. So this specific one has the double 8.4 kilowatt batteries for a total of 16.8 kilowatts of power for this. You'll have a 3200 watt inverter for this. And those batteries are gonna be Lithionics. So Lithionics is basically a self-maintained lithium battery. Winnebago does own the company, so it helps keep the infrastructure true with that, and it makes it where they can put the components in there. Better value for the customers with larger battery systems. Underneath that compartment, you're gonna have your fuses, your converter, as well as access to one of your outlets. Again, it's all open so those batteries can breathe, get cool air, get warm air, depending on whatever they need. Down below the vents over here, you'll have the main battery disconnect is just a push button. You'll have a light switch for the exterior, as well as another solar port if you want to use suitcase solar, have a little bit more power, and then another little 12 volt plug. Back to the exterior of this unit. Well, there's one more thing we got to cover back there, but down below you're going to have a class 3 receiver. You're going to be able to tow 5,000 pounds with this van. It's going to be a 7-way plug back there. So if you wanted to tow a small trailer, you can, just depending on whatever your needs are. On the bottom right side of that, you're gonna have your sewer hose holder. So it's gonna be a plastic tube that's mounted underneath. Just gives you a convenient spot to put a sewer hose for whatever you need so you're not having to stick it inside the van, since most B vans don't have any exterior storage. So the last thing that we'll cover back here is going to be the fabrics. So if you see at the very top, you can see the rear bug screen that they have. It does block off, so you can have it down and just have the screen open and still get some natural light. And then these are going to be those insulated mats that we talked about on the inside. So the rear ones are permanently mounted. You would just unzip them to get the natural light in there, but it also acts as a vapor barrier, so just keeps you warmer or cooler, helps conserve the energy efficiency of the Revel, depending on when you're using it. So on the driver's side, it's going to be a little bit more utility on this side. You'll have a light up above that rear bump out in the window back here. You'll have the shore power plug for that smart plug. Next to a little bit further up, you're going to have the cassette toilet. So it's going to be a 5-gallon cassette toilet. So this will be your black tank, and if you've had B vans or anything like that, you'll be very familiar with it. You could take it out, dump it in a porta potty, dump it in a toilet, or dump it in a dump station, depending on whatever your needs are. So it does have a handle, it does have wheels, makes it very easy to go dump that wherever you need to. Down below, you're going to have the dump station for your gray tank. So that'll be for the gray tank only. I think it's just over 20 gallons as far as the capacity of that. And with the true Revel, you will have a 35-gallon fresh tank. So again, very large tank sizes for the size of this van. Over here, you're gonna see the other footstep to get inside. So it is a little bit longer than it would be on the Revel Sport. So the Revel Sport would stop about just at the door. They do carry it a little bit longer just to give you a little bit more protection from the shrubs or anything like that, as well as climbing up or reaching up if you need to do that. The driver's side over here, the controls aren't going to be much different as far as the seats go, but it'll be a little bit easier for us to see what's inside right here. So on the left side of the steering wheel, this is where you would turn on the heated steering wheel. That was something that changed for the 2025 Mercedes chassis. So a little bit more creature comforts there. And then they swapped the steering wheel, so it's a little bit cleaner of a look and a little bit nicer. And then your headlight controls and fog lights will all be on this left side as well. So now we'll work our way to the inside of the van, and we'll cover a few of the key features in there. So before you come in, Jody, we'll show a couple things that are easy while you're standing out. Inside's going to be your 12-volt compressor-driven fridge. You'll have a couple shelves in here and a small little freezer up top. It does swing all the way out like this, so it makes it easy to reach in and grab something if you're outside. That way you're not having to come all the way in the van just to grab something out of the fridge. The drawer up here is just going to be a big sideways drawer. It has a cover on it, so you can have a little countertop extension, but the cover does come off, so you can have just a big storage space. From the factory, that's where they put the removable induction cooktop. Okay, so if you want to come in, we'll show the overhead storage compartment to start, and then I'll put stuff back up there so it's out of our way. So up here, you do have a very large storage compartment. It's pretty common upgrade that people do in the Mercedes Sprinter vans. It limits a little bit of the overhead height in here, but it gives you a lot of storage spot. So what we store up there usually is just going to be all the Mercedes blinds or the covers for the front windshields. And with this specific one, since it has the interior upgrade, we'll stick all of these covers up there. So this is going to be one for this side window over here, as well as one for the bedroom here. So again, just more insulation, but it does open to give you a little bit of extra light in there. All right, so the biggest difference between the 44E and the 44C is the seats here. So the E now has those two jump seats behind the passenger, or behind the driver, and that's where you would seat additional passengers. The 44C that they came out with was a super common aftermarket thing people were doing, and rotating that bench seat sideways instead of it being forward facing, and it opened up the floor plan quite a bit. So for me and Jody walking around in here, it just makes it a little bit easier for us to maneuver around, especially in like a 19-foot van. So this sideway seat still has 2 seat belts, so you could fit 2 kids there pretty easily, but it also moves a couple other things around. So now the table is a little bit longer. It is removable, so if you want it out of the way, you just take it off the clip, or you can take it off the sidebar entirely. So then you do have a lot of storage space there, or a lot of seating space that's unobstructed. They gave you a little cubby mounted into the bathroom, so you just have another little nook just to put things in. But it does give you a lot more room just to walk through. So I'm gonna set this on the bed for now. All right. So the windows in this are gonna be dual pane acrylic windows. You're gonna have a blackout shade as well as a bug screen. So when you open these windows, they do open all the way up just to give you plenty of airflow. There's a few spots that it clicks at so you can choose how much air you're letting in. So the cool thing about this, having those dual pane windows, the blackout shade, and that insulated curtain, is you can get maximum efficiency out of this van, so you're not losing all of your cold air, your hot air, depending on what season that you're camping in. Overhead, you're gonna have one of your storage compartments. So in here, we usually store the owner's manuals just for now, but feel free to put whatever you want after. They are metal compartments and they are felt lined, so you get a lot less noise or things sliding around whenever you're up there. In the top of this compartment, there's going to be a roof access port. So if you wanted to get Starlink or anything like that, you can go ahead and run that right through to the roof and not have to cut any additional holes in that roof. You'll have an outlet in here. You'll have a USB-A, a USB-C, and then a 12-volt plug. So depending on whatever you need to power whatever's going on in here. Your latches are going to be positive latches, so you swing halfway to lock it in place, and then all the way clamps it down so it's not rattling as much. So up here, you're going to have the power management system for the Winnebago Revels. So you'll be able to see how much power is coming in. Right now we have 70 watts coming in just from the solar, and then how much is coming out currently. So in the output, you can turn off AC or DC. That way you're isolating what's being used, and you can kind of control your power consumption. One thing that's cool is the system can calculate how much time you have left on the batteries based on your current consumption. So right now the batteries are a little low in this one just because we haven't plugged it in a few days. And you still have a day of power just with all of the lights on, and you don't have anything to think about. And that's with, you know, not direct sunlight and only getting a little bit of solar charging out of it. So down below that is going to be your timberline. So timberline is going to be your water heater as well as your furnace. So with this unit, with the Revel specifically, it's a 2-zone timberline. So you can control the temperature of the living room separately from the temperature of the bedroom. So if you're one that likes to sleep warmer or cooler, you can have those 2 zones at different temperatures. And one of the unique features that you can do with that, just to help maintain that, is the Revel does have a screen right here that goes down to the bed platform just to give you a little bit of separation. So you can isolate those areas, and that way you can keep it cooler up here and warmer back there, just depending on what you need. Okay, so the kitchen area. So in the kitchen area, you'll have the removable induction. I just set it out here now just so it's easy to see. You're gonna have a stainless steel sink with a little shower wand, so you can control that. You'll have a little cubby down here, as well as a little hanging thing here. You'll have a light overhead just to give you a little bit more light, or you can use that as a night light, depending on what you need. In here, you're gonna have another storage compartment, so just making use of all the space that you can. Down below that, you'll have a couple electrical things, so plug, another USB-C and a USB-A. You'll have the drain for the sink, so you just press that. It'll suck the water down, pump it down over to the gray tank. You'll have a few drawers, and then a larger drawer down below. And then you'll have a little small pantry space back here. So in this unit, let's do this. In this unit, you have quite a bit of storage space, especially for how small it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise this bed up so we can maneuver around in the back and show the rest of it. Okay, So in the middle of this, you're gonna have the bathroom. So Jody, if we wanna swap, we'll show off the bathroom real quick. So one of the things that they did when they came out with the Revel, when they separated the Revel and the Revel Sport, is this became a split bathroom door. So you have the same wet bath as before. You have the bamboo shelf, the hanging rod, the faucet, and everything's mounted above. You also have a little towel rack if you need to do that there. And then your swivel cassette toilet. So if you wanted to use this more as storage, you can use the bamboo shelf, get another one, and use it all as rack. If you want to hang wetsuits or anything in here so they can drip down into the gray tank, you can use the hanging rod. But one of the features that they came out with that they realized they needed to do is this door. So this door is a split door now instead of that big clunky folding door that they used to have. And it's magnetic, so you just pull on it, and then you can separate the living area, the bathroom from the living area. So if you wanted to get ready in the back half of this van, you can have that privacy without having to go up front and put all of your screens in there. So on the other side of this one will be fun to show Jody. On the other side of this door is going to be a mirror. So you already have a mirror mounted to the doorway, so you can look at your hair, brush your teeth, you know, whatever you need, and you don't have to glue one or stick one somewhere. Just one of those things that you don't have to think about later down the road. All right. So we'll come up here again and then we'll swap. So the last things on the control panel, you'll have a few light switch. You can see your tank levels, your battery level, as well as a water pump control, all right here below that Timberline system. And then you'll have the bed lift that you saw me operate, just so we had a little bit more room in here. So the last area of the van itself, the RV portion, is gonna be when you're back here. So back underneath this van, I can't sit down, I'll crush the mics. You'll have a cargo net mounted to the bottom of the bed, as well as a storage bag. So you can use this utility bag however you need. There's also outlets back here, a few USB ports, and some cubbies for the bed. So it just depends on whatever your needs are going to be, and however you want to build this van out based on what you want. So the last thing in here is going to be the chassis. So the chassis of it, we talked about outside. It's going to be the Mercedes 2-liter, or the Mercedes Sprinter 2-liter all-wheel drive chassis. The Revels are going to be on the 2500 chassis. So with this, you can have it as, it's 19 foot 6 inches in length. So it's very small. It's about the size of most cars and most SUVs. So you can fit into normal parking spots. If you want to do any of the more discreet camping or anything like that. Your controls are all going to be touchscreen up here. You can also control them from the steering wheel while you're driving, so you don't have to fumble around on this side. You'll have quick access buttons on each of those, so you can just play with it and go through all your settings in there. If you go to the settings, you can go to the vehicle. You can turn on and off certain features depending on what you want. So rain sensors for the automatic wipers, open and close, the driving features. So you can do automatic gas station search if the fuel light comes on. It just depends on what you want there. But then you can also hit the quick button for the vehicle features, and these will be all your safety features. So the downhill speed, I think reduction. So if you're traveling downhill, it'll use the transmission to slow you down so you're not constantly having to riding the brakes. That's really useful, especially if you want to go like at the Pikes Peak roadway that they have down in Colorado Springs here. Lane keeping assist, the parking sensors, if you want to disable that because you're trying to park in a tight space and you don't want it yelling at you. A lot of different things that you can control through here. Your camera, so you can see your 360 cameras. You can filter between or cycle between them and see what you want to see based on that. Radio media, that's just going to be your different stereo settings for Sirius XM, Bluetooth, and then the radio, depending on what you like. Down below, you're going to have your AC controls, so that's going to be very familiar. It's going to be the same in any car. Overhead, you're going to have 3 storage cubbies. So the 2 on the left and the right are just going to be cubbies themselves. The middle one's going to have a wireless charger for your phone, a USB-C input for the radio itself, as well as 2 USB-C charging and a 12-volt plug up here. So it depends on whatever you need to use this for. Up above this, you're gonna have that digital mirror. So you can have it set up where it's the camera mode, or if you just wanna use it as the mirror and see what's going on in the van itself, flip it down and it turns the camera off. Above that, you're gonna have all your lights in the middle. You're gonna have your SOS button for Mercedes if you ever need any help. You'll also have cubbies on both sides as well as the visors. So just a little bit more storage spot while you're driving the van itself. On the steering wheel itself, you're gonna have a few things. So these buttons are now a little bit smoother and a little bit more haptic, so you would just touch them and slide over it. You can still click each of the buttons depending on what you need to do. Your push to talk buttons as well as navigating that menu are gonna be on the right side. Navigating the center, your dash cluster over here is gonna be this upper left side, as well as setting all your adaptive cruise control settings are gonna be on this left side. Windshield wipers and blinkers are gonna be on the left stick, and then your gear selector is gonna be on the right stick. So very, very intuitive once you get used to it. A lot of people, or a lot of newer cars, you don't have the traditional gear selector anymore, so they're more buttons, columns, things like that, and not how it used to be where you have to move the whole gear thing. But that's gonna be about it for this Winnebago Revel. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My cell phone number is 404-936-6215. My email is justin.rogers@transwest.com. If you want to know anything about this one or anything else we have in the lot, feel free to contact me. I'll see you guys in the next one.